So it is, in addition to learning, it is equally important, because to know कि मेरे को आगे क्या करना है, वो कहाँ से होता है, तो it is equally important. Otherwise, sometimes what happens is even the topper of the school are not able to choose the right career. And this platform is so beautiful. If someone want to connect to the counselor also, this is a connect to counselor button, and they can choose the counselor of their choice, and they can connect, they can take the counseling from them. Similarly, there's a very beautiful platform for the schools, where the school can also manage, they can come to know how many students, what, just a sec, I'll just take you to the portal, then it will be easier to explain. Demo. This is the school portal. There's a school dashboard where a school can manage all the student of the school, that how many students from the class wise are on this portal, and they can manage all their champions of the school, category wise, sports champion, academic champion, dance drama champions. They can also manage alumni, because school keep on losing their alumni data. For example, this is one of the school where the Sandeep Singh is an IS officer in Punjab cadre. This is a mobile number. If the school will have all such data, it will be easier for the school to to call them and to tell their student the real time, real life experience of their all those things. There are a lot of knowledge resources, notification to the school for CBSE notification, extra notification, and here the aptitude of the student will take our psychometric assessment, and here the aptitude of the overall school aptitude will come. Then it will come class wise and section wise as well. So it is it could be very, very helpful for the student as well as for the schools to to decide the path after when they will move out of the school. So this is all about the platform which we have. And if as you are an educationist, we are still in the process of developing it. If you have any suggestion, I request you, please let me know at the end of the session. It will be helpful for us. Thanks Rajul, for allowing me to share the
Thank
portal.
you. Thank you. Invite Dr. Abhay Chaubey. Abhay, we have your presence. Would like to have your perspective. Dr. Abhay Chaubey, do we have your presence? I believe we have lost the connection with Dr. Abhay Chaubey. So with this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. Here we open the house. I would invite the questions from all the participants. So if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. I would present those questions to our key speakers. We have already received many questions. I would be presenting these questions to our key speakers. So again, I would request all other participants to post your questions in the chat box. Before I start presenting these questions, I'll just take a minute in explaining. I would share my screen for a minute, and I would explain here what exactly we have been doing at School Lalaji Solutions. So I'll share my screen for a minute here. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We help educational institutions in three ways. We help them in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old stuff, like their old buses, old buses, old furniture, generators, kind of stuff. We also help institutions in raising money. That may be in terms of fee financing or loans. Why any educational institution would need a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? You already have your old suppliers. Your team is expert. You believe you're getting good discounts. So why need a platform like School Lalaji Solutions? There are two main reasons. One, because we give them the bulk orders. We create bulk orders for these different companies. So we have more negotiation power than a particular educational institution. Second important reason is in our educational setup, in our educational ecosystem across country, we have more than 10,000 educational suppliers. So it's very, very difficult for educational leaders to interact with all those companies to, find right set of company. You have limited options. You just finalize solutions from those available options. It's also sometimes we have seen that due to a lack of bandwidth or sometimes capability of your team members, we are not able to differentiate between different companies who are offering the same kind of solutions. So here we come into picture. We understand your school, your taste, your actual requirement. We also have category experts who interact with different companies. They differentiate between their different features. We also talk to their previous clients to certify their credibility. And after doing negotiation, we recommend you right set of options. And these are different areas where we are helping educational institutions. We are helping institutions in smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel, solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that will save you at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. So it's kind of a 5% additional revenue generation, and it's guaranteed. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different schools in one category only. That's bus insurance. We are perhaps India's largest school bus insurance partner. So major highlights, we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation in 2019, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classroom, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other, uniform in 42 schools we installed. And by the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. I'll end my talk here. So with this, we come to the, as I said, the question part. We have received a few questions. I would also invite questions from other participants. So I would request Mini ma'am, if I may present the first question to you. Mini ma'am, do we have your presence?
Yeah, I'm very much sure.
Yeah. Ma'am, this question has come from Ms. Chandrakala Shukla ji. Chandrakala ji is a primary teacher with, she's from your school only. So I'll change the question. So I would now, present another question. Pragati Sharma ji, she's an assistant teacher, with Sunbeam School, Varanasi. The question says, how National Education Policy 2020 is helpful at primary level. I'm also posting the question in the chat box. So if you can, ma'am, if you can share key important points, how this is going to bring benefits at primary level, minimum.
See, as I had mentioned earlier, that the change is from 10 plus 2 to 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. So 5 years would be the foundation years, and 3 years would be the preparatory. And this is going to be very empowering for the teachers as well as for the children. They get more insights into the teaching, learning methodologies. There is more, there is going to be a variety of methodologies which can be implemented. The focus is not only, the teaching, but also what the child takes back home every day. So it's a very flexible system. It's a very child-friendly system, and there will be loads that the teachers could, focus on with the children. You see, the B.Ed program itself now, they have increased to 4 years. So I think only those teachers who are really interested in this would we would really get a very, very good lot of teachers. Now, as one of my co-panelists said that, when you advertise for an English teacher, out of 200, you can only shortlist 2 TGTs. I absolutely agree with, and now with the B.Ed training increased to 4 years, I think it's going to be an excellent system at the primary level itself.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Mini ma'am. For that, I would come back to you. Now, I would request Sandeep sir. Sandeep sir, I have already posted the question in the chat box. So if you can take on this question. Chandrakala Shukla ji, primary teacher with Greenfield School, Safdarjung, and New Delhi. Question says, how to involve parents in children's studies?
Well, Chandrakala ji. This question is from Chandrakala ji.
Right, sir.
Right. So, well, see, so far as involving parents in children's studies is concerned, I do not know, I do not think the NEP per se has said anything about it. But yes, how it comes to us as out of our experience of handling several problems that keep arising among children vis-a-vis parents' involvement in their studies and academics. Number one, parents need to understand first the problems of children being into their shoes. If I have to understand the troubles or problems that my child would be facing as a student in the school, then probably I will have to come down to that child's level first and then see the world from his or her eyes. Being on my ivory tower as the father of 2 kids or 4 kids in the house, I cannot be starting commanding children or expecting things from them. It cannot be one unilateral, it has to be a bilateral understanding. And number two, instead of expecting from children, I think we should be encouraging children so as to embrace the challenges, accept the newness of education, because every year something new is happening with every child till class 12 and beyond. So this newness factor is something which can be given to the children as their gain of academics that they have been deriving being there in the school system. Then obviously those traditional things do definitely work. Do not compare one child with the another. Do not start commanding your children. Do not start giving orders. Do not start prohibiting things. Rather, tell them what is right, what is wrong. So long as involvement of parents is concerned, and so long as encouraging the children being with them by the parents is concerned, first of all, parent has to identify the child in himself or herself, then only the child will accept the parent as his or her partner in education. This is what is my take.
Thank you, Sandeep sir. I'll be coming back to you. Now, I would request Madhuri ma'am, if we have your presence. So, if I may present the next question to you.
Sure, I'm right here.
Right, ma'am. So, next question has come from Ms. Swati Nene. Swati ji is an assistant teacher with Sunbeam English School, Varanasi. The question says, what would be the pattern for examination? So, I assume she wants to know the changes in the exam pattern post NEP implementation. Madhuri ji.
Okay. I see, as progressive schools, Swati, what progressive schools have already been doing, as I said, continuous assessment, formative, summative, both will continue to happen. It is only that they are assuming that the first public exam will happen maybe in grade 8 also. So let's see how it goes. But as of now, I don't see much change in assessment pattern of the progressive schools.
Right. Thank you, Madhuri ma'am. I'll come back to you. And now I would request Sunil ji. Sunil ji, if I may present the next question to you.
Yes, Rajat, please.
So this question is about the flexibility of choosing subjects. I'm also posting the question in the chat box. Ms. Juhi Dubey, assistant teacher with Sunbeam English School, Varanasi. Will it be beneficial for children to opt any subject in intermediate of their own choices?
Yeah, definitely yes. Provided that a proper assessment should have been done. That what are the child aptitude and what are the courses he will be doing later on after opting for such subjects in class 11, 12. For example, I have keep on giving this example. A student has taken, one from humanity, that's a music, and another subject is physics, and one subject from the commerce, which is accounts. Now the question is, a student has taken these 3 subjects, what he will become? The parent definitely will get scared. What will you do in your life? You have chosen music, accounts, and physics. But yes, there exists career option for such people. He can become a manufacturer of the musical instruments because he knows physics, and he would have he would have learned about the sounds, which is very much required in the musical instruments. and he's very much interested in music, and he knows accounts as well. So there are lots of career options. There are 76,000 career options exist. People, and it will be difficult. It will definitely, confusions will be there. But the technology and the scientific psychometric assessment, these things are being used by the corporates a lot. Companies like McKinsey, Ernst & Young, HSBC, they used to decide their leadership through the psychometric assessment. So these are the things where, but they should be allowed to choose the subjects, and it is really going to help actually. So that's what my answer is.
Right. Thank you. Sandeep sir, you wanted to add some point to this.
How do you know that? Thank you so much. You're a face reader, Rajul sir. Thank you so much. I was so very tempted to drop in just one word here. The famous entrepreneur Elon Musk. Elon Musk, Mr. Dangi, I'm relating back to you what you just now said. He is, the world probably doesn't, many do not know that he is a Bachelor of Arts in Physics and a Bachelor of Science in Economics. If you say such things in India, people would immediately correct you. No, you are just saying it's wrong. It should be actually Bachelor of Science in Physics and Bachelor of Arts in Economics, because that is how the tradition of Indian education goes. It is very rightly put forth that if a child goes with accountancy, political science, and public administration, or maybe economics, then what is the student going to do? Well, if you look into the second chapter of the NEP, which deals with higher education, there it has been made mandatory for every district government or every state government to establish one multidisciplinary university or higher education in every district. So that's the aim set in the NEP itself to be achieved by 2030. So obviously there is going to be a link, a very close link between the school education and the higher education. Because right now what happens, you can play with the options in school education, but the moment you go into do your graduation, there your identity is like arts, commerce, and science. So this traditional belief of education has to obviously now desegmented, defragmented, and that is the provision, the beautiful provision of the NEP is that only. So we may not have to stick back to what the tradition of education has been so far as the selection of subjects is concerned in India. Rather, the time has come to go for a disarray of subjects, rather a multidisciplinary concept of education, and obviously future is there for such scholars, for such students as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sandeep sir. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. We have also received two questions in the chat box. So Mini ma'am, I would request you if you can take on the first one. Mr. Bipin Mishra has asked this question. Those who have completed MCOM, is there any 1 year specialization which teachers can do instead of B.Ed in NEP 2020?
I think after MCOM, you have to pursue the 4 year the B.Ed degree program, and then only I think you can get back to the teaching in the schools. Because B.Ed is mandatory in all recognized schools, and the B.Ed has been increased to 4 years.
Right. Thank you, Mini ma'am. I would request Madhuri ma'am, if I may present the next question to you, and this would be the last question for the day.
Sure.
Madhuri ma'am, I'm posting the question in the chat box. It was in the chat box only. Ms. Mizan Aman has asked this question. What are the stress busters for upper primary and primary children in context to NEP?
So, sorry, come again.
The question says, what are the stress busters for upper primary and primary children in context to NEP? Do you find any stress busters for primary, upper primaries?
I think co-curricular being given equal importance is a big stress busters for the children. For kids, I think there could be no better stress buster than that. If anybody would like to add anything, I wouldn't think of anything else as of now.
Right. There is another question Anjana Singh ji has raised in the chat box. How to ensure parents proactive participation in the execution of NEP. So, is there any provision for parents counseling, or like you suggest something, Madhuri ji?
Counseling.
How do you suggest that, like how we can ensure parents' proactive participation for the successful implementation of this
Okay,
policy?
I think parental engagement is becoming a very big challenge for everybody, but uh, I the best way is to have integrated projects where parents become partners. That will work out better. And if we are expecting them to get the homework done, it depends on what kind of parental engagement are we looking at, right?
Right.
Are we looking for a parental support? Are we looking for a parental engagement? Are we looking for a parental supervision? Again, these are all different classes in which we are looking for the parent to participate in the school, right? If we are, if we are only ensuring that when the child reaches home, there is somebody to supervise his work, is that what we are looking for? So
Right. Thank you.
that's
Yeah.
what will make me answer that person. What exactly are you wanting? If you are answering for parental engagement, then move from easy, relatable projects to abstract projects where parents get engaged with the child.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it all
Madhuri ji.
depends.
Yep. Thank you, ma'am. And with this, we come to the end of this very, very special session. A big thanks to all of you.
Thank
But
you to all of
before we
you.
end the session, I would request you if we can have your concluding remarks. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remark, if you can also suggest, one idea, one thought that you would like to implement if you get a chance to become Minister of Education. So, what would be your priority that you would like to execute? So, I would request Sunil Dangiji, if we can begin with you, we can ask for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Uh, as I said that if it's a very serious affair, although, but I would like to, as right to education is there, the right to choose a life should also be there. We are, on our child, we pressurize them a lot that choose this particular career or choose this particular career. So I think student of class in Singapore, the students start choosing the career after class 6 itself, and they move on that path. In India, the child are not able to choose even after their graduation. Parents keep on coming in. Okay, you have to do this. So I think that the right to choose the career, I would have requested, or if it could have been, possibly through the constitution, so I could have made it mandatory. A child must have the right to choose whatever they want to be their life. So that's what I could have added as a conclusion.
Absolutely. So more empowered students, you would try to create that kind of environment. So big thanks, Sunilji, for your participation and thoughts. Now I would request Madhuri ma'am, if I may request you for your concluding
Sure.
remark. And what would be your priority? You have worked with corporates, you have worked with educational institutions. So I'm sure you look at education from a different perspective. So what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education? And your concluding remark, Madhuri ma'am.
I think first of all, I will shut down all the B.Ed shops and have B.Ed colleges. That is from where the entire issue starts. All B.Ed shops should be shut down. B.Ed colleges should be there, wherein a teacher is actually trained like people are trained for any other profession. Like, for any other profession, getting B.Ed from a good to great college, like people even look for Harvard pass outs. But when we are looking for a teacher, we would just make adjustment with anything and everything. And the second thing is, it's an irony of the situation, Vidyalaya, Vidya ka Mandir. But no, none of us ever went to get education in the school. We all went to get marks. We never went to learn anything. I never remember when my mummy used to make my 2 chotis and I would say, okay, mummy, aaj अच्छे से बनाना, मैं trigonometry सीखने जा रही हूँ. We all went to meet our friends. We all went to enjoy life, or get at the end of the day get a mark sheet, 12 mark sheet which has good marks. We never were inquisitive to learn. So I think the schools have to become a place where children rush and run to learn.
Right.
With
So
that, thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Badri ma'am. Big thanks for your participation. I would now request Mini ma'am, ma'am, if I may request you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education? Mini ma'am.
Become the Minister of Education, first and foremost, give more confidence in the structure and the cycling programs that have implemented. Secondly, I will move reservation in the higher education sector. So I think that is what my we have given this opportunity. And my concluding remarks are that we should all welcome the new education policy and implement all its parts with full spirit and zeal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So you have touched upon two very sensitive topics like that you would like to touch as an education minister. So we hope you become a Minister of Education one day. Thank you, Mini ma'am, for your participation. But you know that has a potential. You know that you talked about two sensitive topics. That has a potential. The next day your ministry would get changed, and you will become either a corporate affair minister or industrial minister. So while touching those two important sensitive topics, so big thanks, Mani ma'am, for your participation. Now I would invite Sandeep sir. Sir, we would like to end the session with your remarks. So I would request you for your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education, Sandeep sir?
Yeah, thank you, Rajul sir. Well, see, when we talk about an education policy, then obviously very rightly put by Madhuri ma'am in her delivery, that policies may obviously keep coming and going, and policies are something, these are drafts, these are some written verses which are set to be practiced. But fact remains, on ground, when we start implementing the policies, for example, CCE failed, OTBA failed, maybe there are many other things which CBSE thought of and didn't even start to try. Fact remains, priorities have changed now. As parents now look up to their children. Obviously, parents also now have started thinking in terms of multidisciplinary studies, academics. Parents have started thinking in terms of academics beyond borders. Parents have started thinking about skill enhancement and not rote learning and mark sheets only. So there is going to be a paradigm shift when it comes to securing the benefits of a modern education policy. I believe this national education policy, well researched by Kasturi Rangan and his team, has got all possibilities of a very, very dynamic kind of an education structure for this country, which is a very rapidly developing country, India. And all stakeholders of education, those who are involved so deeply in education, having such rich experience of handling the most important element of any education system, that is students. Then what is stopping us from implementing and going ahead with the provisions? Obviously, when thoughts come to our mind, there has to be a structure to follow. And the structure only is national education policy. But possibilities are not there in the chapters, confined in the chapters of the policy. Possibilities are all there in our minds and hearts. We have to make our children happy, self-reliant, independent, and obviously a global citizen in the days to come. So that's what is my ultimate submission to this national education policy. This is what is my takeaway. Now, coming to the second part of your question, what would be my preference if I someday suddenly become the education minister? Well, number one, I do not know why education and minister, these two terms, I do not find them matching each other. I always find them to be cut and pasted together, as if a minister is being asked to talk about education. So as an education minister, rather, if I get a chance someday, what I think, I would be sitting down with the Prime Minister of the country first, seeking out some time with him and would be seriously talking with him that, sir, now onwards, for anybody to become a minister in the country, please make sure that that minister has a minimum qualification of a graduate or a minimum qualification to have taught as a teacher in a school at least for 3 years. Because that is where the human values are hidden. And to become a minister of any portfolio, not only education minister, you need to be having human values first. Then only probably the country will go in the right direction. Thank you. Jai Hind. That's what is my submission.
Thank you. Thank you. Big thanks, Sandeep sir, for that. Big thanks once again to all the key participants, Mini ma'am, Madhuri ma'am, Sandeep sir, Chaube ji, Sunil Dangi ji for your participation. I also thank other key participants for joining us and being with us for the entire session. Big thanks to all of you once again for making this 152nd session truly special. Thank you. We'll end the session here. Thank you all.